Welcome back to my haunting channel, your go-to destination for spine-chilling tales that linger long after the screen fades to black. If you're here, it means you crave stories that dance on the edge of reality and the supernatural. Those eerie whispers from beyond the veil that remind us how fragile our grasp on the ordinary truly is. Tonight, we're diving deep into one of Ohio's darkest legends, a place where fear takes form in shadowy corridors and ghostly echoes reverberate through time, a house so haunted it has become infamous across generations. This isn't just another tale. This is an exploration of terror rooted in history, folklore, and first-hand accounts that defy explanation. For decades, brave souls have dared to enter its creaking halls only to emerge shaken, forever changed by what they encountered within. Some call it cursed, others say it's a portal to another realm, but all agree, something sinister resides there, watching, waiting, and preying upon those who dare disturb its domain. Before we begin, let me remind you why these stories matter. They aren't merely meant to frighten, they challenge us to confront the unknown, question our perceptions, and acknowledge the mysteries lurking in the corners of our world. So grab your favorite blanket, you might need it, dim the lights if you're feeling brave, and prepare yourself for a journey into darkness. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell if you haven't already. I promise you won't want to miss future episodes filled with more haunting narratives like this one. Now, take a deep breath, steady your nerves, and step with me into the chilling depths of Ohio's most haunted home. Let the story begin. A house built on shadows nestled amidst the rolling hills and dense woodlands of rural Ohio lies a structure as ominous as it is enigmatic. A sprawling Victorian mansion known locally simply as the Grey House. Its weathered facade, cloaked in ivy and streaked with grime, stands as a testament to centuries of neglect and decay. From the outside, it appears almost picturesque, like something plucked straight out of a Gothic novel. But appearances can be deceiving, and behind those cracked windows and splintered shutters lurks a legacy steeped in tragedy, violence, and unrelenting despair. Construction of the house dates back to the late 1800s, commissioned by a wealthy industrialist named Elias Hargrove. Known for his ruthless business tactics and insatiable ambition, Hargrove spared no expense in creating what he envisioned as a grand estate worthy of his growing fortune. Craftsmen were brought in from across the state to carve intricate moldings, lay ornate tiles, and construct towering spires that would dominate the skyline for miles around. Yet even during its construction, rumors swirled about strange occurrences surrounding the property. Workers reported tools vanishing overnight, hearing disembodied voices whispering warnings in empty rooms, and witnessing shadowy figures darting between half-finished walls. Many refused to return after sundown, claiming an oppressive energy permeated the land itself. Once completed, the house quickly earned a reputation among locals as a place best avoided. Neighbors whispered of bizarre rituals conducted by Hargrove within its confines, speculating that he dabbled in occult practices in pursuit of power and immortality. While such claims remain unsubstantiated, records suggest Hargrove did indeed host secretive gatherings at the mansion, inviting guests whose identities remained shrouded in mystery. These events often stretched late into the night, accompanied by unearthly sounds that drifted over the countryside, eerie chants, guttural screams, and discordant music that sent shivers down the spines of anyone unfortunate enough to hear them. Tragedy struck the Hargrove family not long after moving into their opulent new home. In 1892, Elias's wife, Margaret, was found dead under suspicious circumstances, her body discovered at the bottom of the grand staircase leading to the second floor. Authorities ruled her death an accident, citing a slip caused by loose carpeting. However, servants later confessed to overhearing heated arguments between Elias and Margaret in the days leading up to her demise, fueling speculation of foul play. Within months, 2 of their children also perished mysteriously, one succumbing to an apparent drowning in the nearby creek, the other dying suddenly of an illness doctors struggled to diagnose. Grief-stricken and increasingly reclusive, Elias retreated further into isolation, rarely venturing beyond the mansion's fortified gates. As the years passed, reports of paranormal activity intensified. Travelers passing near the property spoke of seeing spectral figures wandering the grounds, their forms flickering like candle flames in the moonlight. Others claimed to feel an overwhelming sense of dread upon approaching the house, as though unseen eyes followed their every move. By the turn of the century, few dared venture close enough to verify these accounts, leaving the mansion to rot quietly in obscurity. Elias himself vanished without a trace in 1905, sparking yet another wave of rumors. Some believed he fled creditors or enemies seeking revenge for past transgressions. Others insisted darker forces had finally claimed him, dragging his soul into whatever abyss awaited beyond the mortal plane. Whatever the truth, the Hargrove name faded into legend, replaced by whispers of curses and malevolent spirits guarding the abandoned estate. Over subsequent decades, ownership of the property changed hands multiple times, each new inhabitant met with misfortune and madness. Fires erupted spontaneously, destroying sections of the house only to be rebuilt inexplicably overnight. Pets disappeared, livestock turned feral, and crops failed spectacularly despite ideal growing conditions. Those bold enough to attempt restoration work reported tools malfunctioning, equipment breaking down, and inexplicable injuries sustained while on site. Eventually, the house became too much trouble to maintain, abandoned entirely by the mid-20th century. Yet abandonment did little to silence its restless inhabitants. Urban explorers, thrill-seekers, and paranormal investigators drawn to its infamy began infiltrating its decaying halls, documenting encounters with phenomena defying rational explanation. Doors slammed shut on their own accord, temperatures plummeted in specific areas regardless of season, and disembodied laughter echoed through empty corridors. Photographs captured orbs of light hovering near staircases, while audio recordings picked up faint sobs, footsteps, and indistinct murmurs emanating from vacant rooms. Today, the Grey House stands as both monument and warning, a relic of greed and hubris consumed by forces beyond human comprehension. Its very existence challenges our understanding of life, death, and the spaces in between. As we delve deeper into its harrowing history, remember this: some doors are better left closed, some secrets buried forever. But curiosity often overrides caution, pulling unsuspecting victims into its snare. And once ensnared, escape proves nearly impossible. Whispers in the night. It was a crisp October evening when Sarah Monroe first set foot inside the Grey House, her flashlight beam cutting through the suffocating darkness like a knife slicing through thick fog. She wasn't alone. 3 friends had joined her for what they thought would be a harmless thrill, a chance to prove themselves brave amidst local lore. Little did they know, bravery would soon give way to sheer terror as the house revealed its true nature. Sarah had always been fascinated by ghost stories, devouring books and documentaries about haunted locations since childhood. When she stumbled upon grainy photos online allegedly taken inside the Grey House, showing shadowy figures lurking in corners and glowing orbs suspended midair, her interest shifted from casual intrigue to obsession. Convinced she could capture undeniable evidence of the supernatural, she convinced her closest friends, Jake, Emily, and Ryan, to accompany her on an impromptu investigation. They arrived just before sunset, parking their car along the overgrown driveway leading to the mansion. The air felt unnaturally cold, despite the warmth lingering from earlier in the day. As they approached the entrance, the sound of crunching leaves beneath their boots seemed amplified, echoing eerily against the stillness enveloping the property. No birds chirped, no insects buzzed, even the wind seemed reluctant to stir, leaving an unsettling quietude hanging heavily in the atmosphere. Pushing open the massive front door required considerable effort. It groaned loudly, protesting intrusion with a cacophony of metallic screeches and wooden creaks. Inside, dust motes danced lazily in the dim light filtering through broken windows, casting grotesque shadows across peeling wallpaper and warped floorboards. The scent of mildew mingled with something sharper, almost metallic, assaulting their senses immediately. "Let's split up," Sarah suggested excitedly, clutching her digital recorder tightly. "We'll cover more ground that way." Jake frowned, glancing warily around the expansive foyer. "Are you sure splitting up is smart? This place gives me the creeps already." Emily nodded emphatically. "Yeah, I agree. Maybe we should stick together?" But Sarah waved off their concerns dismissively. "Come on, guys. We didn't come all this way to chicken out now. Besides, nothing bad will happen. We've got flashlights, phones, everything we need. Just stay in contact via walkie-talkies, okay? Reluctantly, her companions agreed, dividing into pairs. Jake paired with Emily, heading upstairs toward the bedrooms, while Sarah and Ryan ventured downstairs, exploring what appeared to be a sprawling basement level. Each group carried handheld cameras and recording devices, determined to document anything unusual they encountered. For the first hour, things progressed relatively smoothly. Jake and Emily wandered cautiously through upper-floor hallways, noting strange drafts wafting through seemingly sealed-off sections of the house. Occasionally, they heard faint tapping noises, reminiscent of fingernails rapping gently against glass. Despite initial trepidation, neither reported feeling particularly threatened, until they reached Room 13. According to urban legend, Room 13 served as Elias Hargrove's private study during his occupancy. Locals claimed it harbored remnants of dark rituals performed within its confines, making it a hotspot for paranormal activity. Peering cautiously inside, Jake and Emily noticed the temperature dropped significantly compared to adjacent rooms. Their breaths formed visible clouds in the frigid air, prompting involuntary shivers. Then came the voice, a low, guttural growl emanating from nowhere and everywhere simultaneously. "Leave!" it rasped, sending chills racing down their spines. Both froze, hearts pounding wildly as they scanned the room desperately for any sign of movement. Nothing stirred visibly, yet the command resonated clearly, demanding obedience. "We should go," Emily whispered urgently, tugging at Jake's sleeve. He didn't argue, nodding swiftly before retreating hastily back the way they came. Neither spoke until reaching relative safety near the main staircase, adrenaline coursing through their veins. Meanwhile, Sarah and Ryan descended deeper into the bowels of the mansion, navigating narrow passageways illuminated solely by their flashlights. The basement exuded an aura of desolation, cobwebs draping ceilings and walls like macabre tapestries. Every step produced exaggerated creaks, threatening to alert unseen entities to their presence. Suddenly, Ryan stopped abruptly, pointing ahead. "Did you see that?" he asked hoarsely, squinting into the gloom. Before them stood a figure cloaked entirely in shadow, standing perfectly still except for slight oscillations suggesting instability. It didn't react to their arrival, merely observing silently as if weighing their worthiness to trespass upon sacred ground. Sarah raised her camera, snapping several rapid-fire shots. Upon reviewing them later, however, none showed the mysterious silhouette, only empty space where it had presumably stood moments prior. Unease prickling at her neck, she urged Ryan onward, eager to distance themselves from whatever, or whoever, they'd glimpsed. Minutes ticked by agonizingly slowly, each second stretching interminably as tension mounted exponentially. Then, without warning, chaos erupted. Somewhere above them, a deafening crash reverberated throughout the structure, shaking plaster loose from ceilings and startling everyone present. Simultaneously, static burst forth from their radios, rendering communication impossible. Panic surged as realization dawned. They were trapped, isolated pockets of humanity surrounded by escalating hostility. Back upstairs, Jake and Emily scrambled toward the exit, desperate to escape whatever horrors awaited below. Descending hurriedly, they collided with Sarah and Ryan emerging from opposite directions, faces pale with terror. Together, they bolted for freedom, lungs burning as they sprinted through endless corridors twisting unpredictably. Finally bursting through the front door, gasping for fresh air, they collapsed onto the lawn, hearts hammering erratically. Behind them, the gray house loomed menacingly, silent once more but undeniably triumphant. Though physically unharmed, none emerged unchanged. Each bore invisible scars etched deeply into their psyches, reminders of the night they stared directly into the abyss and barely escaped intact. Later analysis of footage captured during their ordeal yielded inexplicable anomalies, shadowy forms materializing briefly then vanishing instantly, disembodied whispers overlapping conversations held aloud. An inexplicable electromagnetic interference disrupting equipment functionality sporadically. Experts consulted afterward struggled to provide satisfactory explanations, labeling results inconclusive at best. For Sarah and her friends, the gray house ceased being merely a location, it transformed into a living nightmare etched permanently into memory. None dared return voluntarily, haunted perpetually by recollections of events transcending rational comprehension. And somewhere within those crumbling walls, malevolent forces continued biding their time, awaiting fresh prey foolish enough to tempt fate again. Voices from the void. The aftermath of Sarah and her friend's harrowing encounter with the Grey House rippled outward, affecting not only those directly involved but also drawing renewed attention from curious outsiders and seasoned paranormal investigators alike. News of their experience spread rapidly through social media platforms and local news outlets, igniting widespread fascination with the mansion's sinister reputation. What had previously existed as whispered legends among residents now morphed into a cultural phenomenon, attracting droves of thrill-seekers eager to test their courage against reputed hauntings. Among those captivated by recent developments was Dr. Lydia Hartwell, a renowned parapsychologist specializing in studying anomalous phenomena associated with purportedly haunted sites. With decades of fieldwork under her belt and numerous publications detailing groundbreaking findings, she commanded respect within academic circles often skeptical of paranormal claims. Intrigued by mounting evidence supporting extraordinary activity at the Grey House, she assembled a team comprising experts spanning various disciplines, from electromagnetic spectrum analysts to psychologists trained in trauma response, determined to uncover definitive answers regarding its enigmatic allure. Arriving on site early one misty morning, Dr. Hartwell surveyed the dilapidated structure thoughtfully, absorbing its foreboding ambience. Unlike amateurs lured primarily by adrenaline rushes, her approach prioritized methodical observation and scientific rigor. Equipment vans unloaded meticulously calibrated instruments designed to detect fluctuations indicative of supernatural influence, thermal imaging cameras capable of capturing heat signatures invisible to naked eyes, Geiger counters measuring radiation levels potentially linked to dimensional breaches, and sophisticated audio recorders engineered to isolate frequencies imperceptible to human ears. Setting up base camp inside the mansion's former dining hall, the team established protocols governing interactions with potential entities residing within. Standard operating procedures emphasized non-aggressive engagement, avoiding provocation likely to elicit hostile reactions. Additionally, participants underwent psychological evaluations ensuring mental resilience sufficient to withstand prolonged exposure to stressful environments. Initial sweeps yielded intriguing data almost immediately. Temperature variations exceeding standard atmospheric norms occurred sporadically throughout different zones, particularly concentrated around areas historically significant according to archival records. For instance, readings taken near the grand staircase where Margaret Hargrove reportedly fell recorded consistent drops ranging 20 degrees Fahrenheit below ambient averages. Similarly, Room 13 exhibited heightened electromagnetic activity correlating strongly with periods of increased auditory disturbances documented via EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, sessions. Dr. Hartwell herself led several seances intended to facilitate communication with presumed spirits inhabiting the premises. Participants sat cross-legged in tight circles, holding hands to amplify collective energy fields conducive to channeling messages from beyond. Candlelight provided sole illumination, casting flickering shadows dancing rhythmically across cracked plaster walls. During one such session, a chilling voice resonated distinctly amidst otherwise silent surroundings, articulating words devoid of context yet laden with emotion. "Help us!" Investigators exchanged startled glances, confirming simultaneous perception validated authenticity rather than subjective interpretation. Subsequent attempts to engage the entity proved fruitless, however, raising questions whether initial contact represented genuine interaction or mere coincidence aligning fortuitously with pre-existing expectations. Psychological assessments administered post-exposure revealed fascinating insights into cognitive responses triggered by perceived threats originating supernaturally. Subjects consistently described sensations resembling claustrophobia despite ample physical space available, coupled with pervasive feelings of being watched intently by unseen observers. Neurological scans indicated heightened amygdala activation patterns characteristic of acute stress responses, suggesting physiological mechanisms underlying instinctual fight-or-flight reflexes operated independently of conscious awareness. Perhaps most compellingly, Photographic documentation captured during nighttime excursions displayed recurring visual motifs defying conventional explanation. Multiple images featured translucent figures hovering near architectural features integral to historical narratives tied to the property. For example, a hazy silhouette resembling a woman descending the same staircase implicated in Margaret Hargrove's fatal accident. Advanced image processing techniques ruled out lens flares, reflections, or other optical artifacts commonly mistaken for paranormal manifestations, bolstering credibility attached to resultant conclusions. Despite accumulating corroborative evidence supporting paranormal activity claims, definitive proof remained elusive. Skeptics argued plausible alternative explanations accounted adequately for observed phenomena, pointing to environmental factors influencing sensor readings erroneously attributed supernatural causation. Structural weaknesses inherent aging infrastructure generated noises mimicking footsteps or doors closing autonomously, while fluctuating humidity levels contributed significantly altering localized microclimates responsible abnormal temperature gradients detected repeatedly. However, proponents countered empirical observations transcended mere coincidence. Arguing comprehensive datasets spanning diverse methodologies converged conclusively implicating influences external traditional scientific paradigms unable to accommodate adequately emergent realities confronting researchers' daily engaged pursuits uncovering truths obscured veils separating worlds tangible ethereal. Ultimately, Dr. Hartwell acknowledged limitations constraining current knowledge bases incapable fully comprehending complexities entangled intertwined dimensions coexisting harmoniously disharmoniously depending perspectives adopted analyzing multifaceted relationships shaping universes bounded unbounded laws physics govern terrestrial celestial realms alike. As investigations concluded, teams dismantled equipment carefully repacking crates destined storage facilities housing archives preserving meticulous records compiled painstakingly over weeks spent immersed heart darkness epitomized embodiment essence encapsulated the gray house symbolizing eternal struggle balance order chaos reflected mirror souls daring peer depths abyss revealing fragments selves lost forgotten rediscovered traversing labyrinthine corridors connecting past, present, future, infinite cycles, birth, death, rebirth, ceaselessly unfolding perpetual motion, machine driving cosmic dance, creation, destruction, renewal, perpetuity, infinity, eternity, timeless, timeless, timeless. Echoes of madness weeks turned into months following the intensive investigation led by Dr. Hartwell, yet the specter of the Grey House continued to cast its long, dark shadow over the lives of those who dared to delve into its mysteries. For Sarah and her friends, the lingering trauma manifested in ways both subtle and overt, reshaping their daily existences in profound and unsettling manners. Each carried scars, some visible, others hidden beneath layers of denial and forced normalcy, but none emerged unscathed from their brush with the supernatural. Sarah, once the fearless instigator of their ill-fated expedition, found herself plagued by recurring nightmares that blurred the line between dream and reality. Every night, she relived fragments of their ordeal, the oppressive chill of the basement, the shadowy figure standing sentinel in the gloom, the deafening crash that signaled chaos erupting around them. These dreams weren't fleeting visions easily dismissed upon waking, they clung to her consciousness like cobwebs, distorting her perception of safety even in broad daylight. Ordinary sounds, the creak of floorboards, the rustle of leaves outside her window, triggered visceral panic attacks, leaving her gasping for air and clutching her chest as memories flooded back uncontrollably. Her relationships suffered accordingly. Friends grew weary of her constant hypervigilance, tired of tiptoeing around topics related to ghosts or haunted houses lest they provoke another episode. Romantic interests dwindled as potential partners struggled to reconcile her newfound fragility with the confident, adventurous spirit they'd initially admired. Isolation became her default setting, retreating into solitude whenever anxiety overwhelmed her ability to function socially. Therapy sessions offered temporary relief, providing tools to manage symptoms, but true healing seemed perpetually out of reach, tethered to unresolved fears festering within. Ryan, typically the group's comic relief, underwent perhaps the most dramatic transformation. Once quick with quips and jokes, his humor dried up entirely, replaced by brooding introspection and erratic behavior bordering on paranoia. He developed compulsive habits, checking locks obsessively, avoiding crowded spaces, scrutinizing strangers suspiciously, as if expecting malevolent forces to materialize unexpectedly. Work performance declined sharply, culminating in termination from his job due to repeated absences and inability to focus. Financial strain compounded emotional distress, pushing him dangerously close to breaking points marked by despair and hopelessness. Emily coped differently, channeling residual terror into hypervigilance regarding personal security. She installed multiple locks on her apartment door, purchased pepper spray and tasers, and subscribed to neighborhood watch alerts monitoring suspicious activities. Sleep evaded her regularly, interrupted by hypnagogic hallucinations featuring distorted versions of events experienced inside the gray house. Shadows lengthened unnaturally, voices whispered indecipherable warnings, and phantom footsteps echoed relentlessly through empty hallways reconstructed vividly within her mind's eye. Medication prescribed by psychiatrists dulled edges somewhat, enabling minimal functionality, but peace eluded her grasp entirely. Jake bore burdens silently, internalizing anguish rather than expressing outwardly. Outwardly stoic, inwardly tormented, he wrestled demons manifesting as insomnia, appetite loss, and chronic fatigue. Conversations centered exclusively around practical matters, avoiding discussions delving deeper into psychological impacts sustained collectively. Instead, he threw himself wholeheartedly into hobbies previously enjoyed casually: photography, hiking, woodworking, seeking solace amidst familiar routines offering semblance stability amidst turmoil. Yet even these distractions failed completely erase haunting recollections replaying endlessly mental theaters constructed subconscious minds desperate preserve sanity teetering precipice collapse. Beyond individual struggles endured privately, ripple effects extended outward touching wider communities tangentially connected original incident. Local authorities received increased calls reporting disturbances attributed erroneously proximity infamous landmark, straining resources already stretched thin handling routine emergencies. Residents living nearest property boundaries complained incessantly noise pollution generated tourists flocking area hoping catch glimpse legendary hauntings firsthand, disrupting tranquility cherished rural lifestyles. Property values plummeted dramatically vicinity immediate surroundings, deterring prospective buyers wary investing locations tainted stigma association paranormal phenomena. Media coverage amplified hysteria exponentially. Sensationalizing anecdotes, embellished exaggeration appealing morbid curiosities mass audiences hungry entertainment derived vicarious thrills derived consuming tales terror unfolds safely removed actual danger posed real-life encounters described lurid detail tablets. Magazines capitalizing public fascination macabre. Documentaries, films inspired fictionalized adaptations, events transpired, nights spent exploring depths, hellish abodes cemented status, cultural icons synonymous, fear, uncertainty embodied, architectural monstrosity dominating skyline, otherwise serene countryside panorama, picturesque vistas marred, imposing silhouette casting pall gloom overshadowing beauty, natural landscapes flourishing abundantly untamed, wilderness encroaching steadily, civilization encroaching steadily, civilization encroaching steadily, civilization, the eternal haunting. As we bring this chilling tale of the Grey House to a close, it's essential to reflect on the enduring lessons embedded within its haunting narrative. This is not merely a story about ghosts or paranormal activity, it's a meditation on the fragility of human courage, the weight of unchecked curiosity, and the indelible marks left by encounters with forces beyond our comprehension. Through Sarah, her friends, and the countless others drawn into its sinister orbit, we witness how fear can reshape lives irrevocably, transforming ordinary individuals into vessels of trauma and resilience. One of the most profound takeaways from this saga is the reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved. Humanity's innate desire to explore the unknown often blinds us to the dangers lurking in uncharted territories. Whether driven by thrill-seeking impulses or academic ambition, those who dare to probe the boundaries of the supernatural inevitably find themselves grappling with consequences far greater than anticipated. The Grey House stands as a testament to this truth, a place where curiosity becomes compulsion, and compulsion leads inexorably to chaos. Another critical insight lies in recognizing the interconnectedness of past and present. The tragedies woven into the fabric of the Grey House's history, Margaret Hargrove's untimely death, Elias's descent into madness, the string of misfortunes afflicting subsequent owners, are not isolated incidents but threads in a larger tapestry of sorrow. These events echo across time, binding generations together through shared suffering and unresolved grief. Understanding this cyclical nature of pain underscores the importance of acknowledging and addressing wounds rather than burying them beneath layers of denial or secrecy. For viewers tuning in tonight, The Grey House serves as both cautionary tale and invitation to introspection. It challenges us to consider the limits of our bravery, the ethics of trespassing on sacred ground, and the responsibilities accompanying discovery. Are there places in your own life, physical spaces, emotional landscapes, that harbor shadows too dark to confront? Do you carry burdens inherited from ancestors whose stories remain untold? Reflecting on these questions might illuminate paths toward healing and closure, preventing personal histories from spiraling into cycles of despair akin to those plaguing the Grey House. Before signing off, I want to extend heartfelt gratitude to each of you for joining me on this journey into darkness. Your engagement fuels my passion for storytelling, inspiring me to craft narratives that resonate deeply and provoke meaningful reflection. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to my haunting channel and sharing it with friends who share your love for spine-tingling tales. Additionally, leave comments below sharing your thoughts, theories, or experiences related to haunted locations. You never know whose story might spark inspiration for future episodes. Until next time, dear viewers, may your nights be free of unwelcome visitors and your days filled with light to chase away lingering shadows. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and above all, trust your instincts when faced with choices that could alter your destiny forever. Thank you for being part of our community, and remember, sometimes, the greatest horrors lie not in the supernatural but in the depths of our own hearts. Stay safe, stay curious, and sleep well, if you can.